Directly opposite is a door that appears to be made of fire.
I think I've been focused by seeing those children's footprints.
The answer is always at the top with these things.
It's all coalescing, isn't it?
Or the bottom.
It's a gathering of an understanding.
But there's blood at the top, we think, so.
I was on the verge of telling her.
The old Belvedere House has become a very thin place.
Telling her about the affair.
I think, that crazy Irish bastard's just talking to himself again. Excellent.
Could you roll sanity?
Well, I tell you how I take that. I'm thinking about the children.
We come wheeling on with 17 eyes made of papier-mâché, and everyone goes, that's not what we meant by angels.
Are you taking your hand out of the fire?
Yeah. No, I'm going to walk upstairs and leave my hand in the fire.
Okay.
Here, Moran, there's a cougar or a mountain lion, something in the house.
I shove my hand in hard.
The only cougar in this house is Mrs. Belvedere.
How rich was this Mrs. Belvedere?
It's going to burn on the grate.
Don't know what's going on.
And I roll my acting.
This has become a very thin place.
We're in Walt Disney's mind.
Oh, they're here.
Yeah. Baines, there's something up here.
You feel the dream touch you. And you grip hold of it. And you fall immediately unconscious.
Just when I thought it was out, they pull me right back in.
Wake, for the sun, who scattered into flight the stars before him from the field of night, drives night along with them from heaven, and strikes the Sultan's turret with a shaft of light. The Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, the 1859 translation by Edward Fitzgerald. I keep a blue and gold hardback edition under my bed. If Mother were ever to find it, I'm sure she would curse at having a book with so unchristian a name. So I hide it. It was my grandfather's, like all the books in the house. Whenever I wake in the night from a dream, I reach for that book. And whatever verse I happen on by chance, it always bears some strange relevance to whatever ephemeral vision still lingers. I know this is probably a trick of the mind, engulfed as it is in idiot stupor in those waking moments. Yet, last night I am sure I dreamt of that Sultan's turret. I knew it, as though I had been there many times before, but it bore no architectural resemblance to anything of the Middle East, the Islamic or Arabic cultures, nor of European, Eastern Orthodox, Sino-Korean, African or Mesoamerican. Indeed, it was of no earthly design. And all the while the drumming beneath that endless and inexplicable plane of the alien and torturous instruments. It was a nightmare, I suppose, but I was so overcome with awe that fear was from my mind. But in the dark, perusing those gilt-edged pages and pondering the strange ramifications of what I felt, what I know I remember, remembering things I have yet to experience, in some inside-out déjà vu, I did feel fear. The fear of the unknown. And worse, that this is a sign of its protrusions into my world. I must have slept again because I remember hearing Mother on the stair. She was bringing me a glass of milk for my bones. Wretched milk and wretched bones. The earlier the better, she always says. After work, Mother will be at church, the Christmas observations, though really it is to be seen by the worthies of Kingsport to be making the effort. I've managed to avoid attending by insisting on visiting my aunts, to take the cards round. They share my skepticism, my rationale. We've always been close. Though sometimes they speak in superstitious ways, especially when they talk of their time before Kingsport, when they lived up the coast. They speak sideways in front of me whenever they mention Uncle Abner. I bore it no mind as a child, but now my curiosity gets the better of me, and I ask awkward questions they are not willing to answer. Oh, just like him, with your fascination with antiques. It's maddening. And then there is the other side of that branch of the family, the Innsmouth set. Assuredly they did not arrive here on the Mayflower, as my mother's father's line did. No. And when my aunts mention them, seldom, if at all, it is as though they are describing some terrible, mongrel, hybrid, savage, full of terrible knowledge and ghastly lineage. No doubt they are Italian. Or Welsh. One day I will conduct a genealogical expedition to the place, if only to reassure myself. Innsmouth. I have seen that Sultan's turret before, but whether it was upon an endless plain or protruding from a boiling sea, I can no longer remember. It's bitterly cold. The snow blankets everything in silence. I'm coming, Mother. I know you're there. I can hear you breathing at the door. I'm awake now. I promise. I'm awake. I'll be seeing the ants later. I'm awake. Awake. Wake.
The Apocalypse Players present Christmas in Kingsport by Oscar Rios, heavily adapted by Joseph Chance, starring Dan Wheeler as Detective Inspector Eamon Peacock Moran.
My name is Detective Inspector Eamon Moran, and yous are all under arrest.
Dominic Allen as Detective Constable Oliver Shakespeare Baines.
If I am their dream and they wake, will I cease to exist? I wonder.
Danan MacLeod as Detective Constable Matthew Lefty Eisner.
God, that looks Florentine as fuck. Here, Baines, where are you? I don't want to accidentally shoot him.
And Joseph Chance as your festive keeper of the arcane lore.
I know. This ain't the oldest house in the world. This is a new house. Really, the land under this house. That's the thing that holds the memory. And as I'm thinking this, I thumb the wooden sort of statuette between my fingers, and I just think about the ancientness of the land.
And as you do that, the flames turn green. You see this door begin to open behind this veil of green flame, and you are instinctively drawn towards it, of course, because it is this egress into another place. You feel that you're privy to something secret and strange, but also in that moment, could you give me a power roll?
Yeah. 21's a hard success.
Brilliant. Okay, so you find yourself taking that extra step, and then another step, and you can see the door opens and it creaks as it opens, and the green flames are still there billowing on the surface.
Yeah.
But behind that almost kind of doorway in itself of green flame, you see the descending steps down deep into the ground of Kingsport, and you realise that what you're looking at is an illusion.
Yeah.
It's designed to make you see something, and you feel instinctively that it is an echo of the green flames that you saw in your brief dream vision over on Central Hill.
Yeah.
You're on this side of the town, which is the side of the town where the white galleons visit, and that is the other side of the town where these green flames were seen rising in spirals towards the church on Central Hill. And in that moment, you become convinced that this vision in front of you is nothing more than that. It is it is a cloud-capped tower of illusion.
That's a relief, in a sense.
And as you think that, the door begins to reform before your very eyes, and the golden red flames that are also, you think, an illusion, but a terribly powerful one that could have actual physical effect on you, reassert themselves, and you are bound outside this door. You are standing. You've taken in this billowing flame going up the door and then sort of rolling back down it again and coiling sometimes, and you've mastered yourself. You're not losing the plot, but you're aware of your breathing hard, and you're aware of the nature of things not being right in this house. And obviously that brings certain things to mind about what you were taught on the islands, and the nature of spirits. But you hear this sort of from upstairs, and a whip of a tail, and that sort of brings you out of it.
Well, I'm pursuing this thing, right? And that was what got me here. But it must have gone through one of these doors.
Oh, right? You get the impression it's from upstairs. That giggle just came.
Oh, so I could carry on up. Yeah.
Or you could investigate one of these doors, or indeed you get the distinct impression that there's a sort of golden glow coming from the right-hand side of that T-junction of the rooms off to your... Well, sort of behind you now.
I kind of think, although there's something off about the fire door. I don't know why it's behaving in that way. I still in my head have at least enough sense to think about backdraft and things like that.
Yeah, I think it looks like real fire, so it must be something really clever. I mean, how expensive is this door? How much money have they gone to? There are stage shows. You're doing all of that in your head.
Yeah. Some sort of theatrical bullshit. I don't know. I'm going to keep on. I'm going to keep on following upstairs. I want to see that. I want to fucking figure out what that thing is.
Yeah. So
that's the priority number one. I'm not going to see something that weird and then go, oh, a lovely door. I've just got to keep following the voice, I think. Yeah. Shotgun out, to be very clear.
So you, as you head up to the top of the stairs, let me just check the line of sight is good. Yeah, it is. It's perfect. So you make your way, kind of wind your way up to the top stairs. As you come round the left-hand side of the sitting room, you've got this beautiful view, and you can see this window ahead. Actually, give me a spot hidden because of your interest in that window.
Yeah, this is the same window with the handprint, right?
There's some sofas. There's a beautiful kind of corner sofa in this. A few chairs, lovely pot plant, wonderful rug on the floor.
That's probably a fail. Let's have a look.
Yeah. Give me
I'm 4 out. Maybe I should spend some luck.
It's your call. You don't need a hard. It's up to you. Or you could try and push it.
I'm gonna do it. I don't spend enough luck generally, so I rolled a 59. My spot hidden's 55, so I'm gonna spend 4.
Nice. You notice that window is slightly cracked.
Right.
As in cracked open. It's a lift sash window.
Right.
And you notice that it's slightly open, and in the quarter light that remains, you see just a little glistening of what you think might be blood. on that right hand side. If you imagine it's like someone's put their hand underneath it, and left blood stains.
And just so I'm totally clear where this is on the map, am I in the bottom?
Yeah, so you're in that bottom tee box. You're now on the right hand side of that stairs. If you follow the arrow,
staring into the bedroom,
going up,
right? Yeah.
So there's one bedroom off to the left of you.
Yeah.
One bedroom off to the right, but across the room, and then you're looking dead ahead at the and a beautiful view of Central Hill, and Kingsport rolls away with a magnificent roseate sky spreading off to the west, and the ocean looking blue-grey and tempting.
You
look to your right.
Camera to take a photo. No, I don't. I want to do a sweep of the room with my shotgun. I don't want this thing jumping out at me, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, you look to the right, and you see the fallen figure of your comrade, Oliver Shakespeare Baines. And you see this thing sat squat on his chest. Just for a split second, its head seems to whip up from looking... It's almost as if his face is sort of mimicking the fallen man's face perfectly in sort of gesture and position. He's sort of looking straight over his face. And for a split second, you think you might see a small tendril moving back into his mouth. But then it looks at you, and it's weird those pork pie eyes, you know what I mean by that, with the kind of cut-ins?
Yeah.
Or the pie eyes. They kind of widen, and he goes, "Oh no!" And then he jumps into... Now, but potentially you're going to move as fast as him. So what's your dexterity?
70.
70's high. He is faster, but he leaps towards the door behind you and goes straight through it. In a sort of way, like the way in which you might expect a roasted coffee bean to drop into milk. It does that through the door, and it sort of just goes around him.
Christ, what the fuck?
Again, these two doors have nothing particularly amazing or special about them.
No. I might...
Appearance.
I don't really want to do this, but I think I've not lost any sanity yet. I've actually, managed to
become more
keep stoic. I think if I'm seeing something sort of merging through a door in a way that I don't physically...
I'm quite keen to go with your instinct there, and I think that is a sanity roll.
Yeah. 80 on 51.
Yeah. Is it fair to say that you shoot it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think that might be what you do.
One of my next actions was probably going to be to run to Baines, right? But I think you in this moment of what the fuck? Yeah.
You yell and put both barrels into the space where that thing surely just... I mean, you've got to find out whether the door's real or not, at least.
Yeah.
Which I think is a perfect time to go down to Detective Moran. So it's very cold. This door. It's very dark in this parlour passageway. You've spent some time in parlour passageways when you were a younger man. You used to ask the parlour maid all sorts of things.
What are you trying to say?
No, you asked the parlour maid. So it's old jokes.
I have a flashlight, right? So...
Oh, yeah. You could examine the lock, or you could examine the passageway, indeed.
I would just to check that, I'm not in pitch blackness. I'm exceedingly curious as to what's on the other side of this door. I'll try the handle, if I haven't already.
Well, you already have, and it's very cold, and it feels... so, I mean, let's say that you've still got your hand on it. Are you going to turn it to see if it's...
Yes, I'd like to try and open the door.
Yeah, so it feels very stiff. It feels a bit like it isn't locked, if you see what I mean. It feels like, the difference, that sensation you get of the stiff door, that you just feel like you just shove it right.
Strength roll or a dex roll? I'd like to try and give it a little shove it open.
I would do strength. Yeah. If you're going to shoulder it.
Yeah, I'm getting the feeling that it won't need a full bar, just going to be a case of a hard sort of...
At this stage, that's what you would think, yeah.
It's going to be my attempt.
I would agree.
Oh, yeah, that's just a regular success.
Okay, so you give it a shove, and you feel and you see it it pushes open, and then you can see the door squeezing back, and a little bit of icy cold air creeps out, almost as if either someone is very, very steadily pushing it back closed, or it is doing it of its own. Well, that would be madness if you were thinking it was doing it of its own accord.
Mother of Jesus, what?
But I tell you what,
hell is this?
You've got an insight now that therefore the gentle one might not be it, but maybe a swift, especially if there is someone on the other side. I think with your experience, you might then think the bum's rush might be the answer, if that's the right term.
My instinct is that it's a person pushing back on it, in absence of any more supernatural theories.
Unless your capacious intelligence would like to consider something else in detail and mull over it in a way that sort of might force you to confront certain things about reality.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't like to consider that it's anything else. So,
well, actually, since you've kind of been asking that question, could you give me a constitution check?
Oh, God. Yes. That's a fail.
Yeah, you need another shot of whiskey.
Okay. So I'll do a drinking check to see how I get on with that.
How much are you going to have?
Oh, no, I'm just going to have a shot. It's fine.
I mean, I'll tell you this now, because you have the skill, consume alcohol. If you drink a lot, it does give you advantages, but only you. The other two don't get those advantages from drinking a vast amount in a single moment, and it has to be down it of some kind.
Oh, well, you see, I did threaten to do that, I remember, at one point last episode, and you pulled me back from the edge. Okay, so we won't make that moment now.
Partly because I wanted you to save it for later.
Yeah, fine.
And partly because there's more booze in the house now.
There's more booze in my pocket. I've got a full bottle of eggnog.
Yeah, that's true. Well, does it have booze in? The moment of truth.
Yeah.
And also downing that, God. In the time-honoured words of, I'll have to hurry you.
Yes.
But have some time to think about it, and I'll go to Dom, if you like.
No, I know what I'm going to do. If there's someone, if I think there's someone behind the door, and they already know I'm trying it, I think I'm gun out. No, shillelagh out.
A good call.
And then I'm going to call upstairs and say, there's no one down here. I'm coming up. And then I step away from the door and I throw my weight against it.
and as you do that, you hear a shotgun. For a moment, I think it's you, creating a sort of comedy, cartoon sound effect of kapow as your shoulder goes into this. So you passed your strength test from before, right?
Yeah.
So this time, could you give me a strength check, but with a bonus?
Thanks. I assume my bonus is for my character assumes the bonus die, very meta, is for my little distraction.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for the bonus. Without the bonus, it was a hard success. With the bonus, it's an extreme success, 0-3.
And the door has not rolled well. So you remove this thing from its hinges. You just go barreling through all... I mean, I sort of imagine him as... Although he's at 6 foot...
Yeah, he's a big guy. He's
got really big shoulders, you know. I mean, he's
and
really
I think
useful.
at this moment, suddenly it's like, in his mind's eye, in the movie of his life, he's suddenly 26 again. A new beat cop, barging down doors, shillelagh, like flailing wildly to beat Italian mobsters or something.
Yeah.
He's proper back, like the bull, the guy who everyone wants in their team when they go on a raid.
Yeah.
He's worked his way up through the ranks through good old-fashioned honest police work, and that means barging down doors and flailing with a shillelagh.
Yeah, perfect. You flatten this thing, and wisps of ice and snow sort of scatter off the lintel as you go through, and you feel this kind of intense cold passage for about 2 feet as you go through it, and your body is moving through, and you're swinging the shillelagh around, ready to sort of strike anything, and you see this really panicked bear, this small, it's about a 4 foot tall bear wearing a waistcoat and a little sort of neckerchief tie. Just staggers back, eyes wide, and goes, "No, please, no," and falls on his arse and tumbles over backwards. And what the fuck? And then sits there. I mean, if he could, he'd have birds spinning around his head, but he doesn't. Crucially, he doesn't. But you realise he's on this luscious green lawn, and there's trees all the way around this library. There's roots climbing up all the way around it. And ahead of you is laid a beautiful feast. You realise he's in livery. He's also wearing a hat, which is now sort of crushed, sort of little fez that's crushed. And you can see this feast, and a number of other woodland animals
oh my God,
are around the table looking at you in horror.
They're looking at me in horror.
And
did you bring any picnic baskets?
And could you give me a sanity check?
I should think so. Oh, it's not quite a fumble. It's a 97.
Nice.
And my sanity is 53. So
everything plays out just right on either side of the line.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Couldn't be closer, really. But I think perhaps fittingly. So I'm going to let you think about what your reaction is. But whatever your reaction is, you've lost 2 sanity.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Because this is just
this
so
is
outre. But at the moment it doesn't seem threatening. But also, you automatically gain 2 Dreamlands knowledge.
Oh, well, thanks very much.
But that does mean that your total sanity is reduced by 4 in terms of max sanity.
Do I have any Dreamlands knowledge already?
I believe this is your first.
Okay.
Or it is your first true and visceral encounter with something that perhaps might not be quite as clearly of the same ilk as certain mythos. A complex relationship between the two.
No, understood.
Which we're about to investigate much more clearly.
I say understood, not understood.
On the top of the Belvedere House. Or is it still the Belvedere House? Young Oliver Baines has realised, I think, a personal dream, ironically. I'm not going to say that you're studying anything particular at the moment, but you did drink in the fact that there were white ships flying down from the moon.
Yes.
And you did see, I think, green fire glowing in the graveyard of Central Hill Church. And I think you're now perhaps slightly subconsciously aware of a string of green handheld torches winding their way up the hill, and a group of white figures scattered around on this. So if let's say Central Hill is on the right side of your view, to the west, and your white figures seem to be scattered down towards the docks, through town. Very few are sort of moving, but you can see white glowing figures here and there, almost in counterpoint, on the left side of your view, to the east, coastwards, or that is to say, Atlantic woods. We are on an inlet, so there is sea to the south, but it is the inlet that you can see. Is there anything in particular that you would like to look at in any detail?
Well, what's in my immediate vicinity on the roof?
You are on the roof, and before you is the house. Are you going to tear your eyes away from the view and look at that? Or do you instinctively want to know something about horizons? Would you like to look at the greater circle or the first circle?
Well, I think being a detective, my first priority is what's in front of my nose.
Yeah. So you're going to check that
just to make sure I'm not in any immediate danger, really.
The slates glisten and shapes move in the slates that seem to have. They're blacks and greys and browns and blues, and they're sort of, sometimes they look a little bit like ancient fossils, like trilobites, slightly moving in the slates. The chimney itself has kind of lots of tiny vines, leafless vines, running up it and over into the chimney, which is directly in front of you. There's also a window in front of you, which is a window into a room, which is very elaborate, much more elaborate than it is in the world that you just left to reach this. It has curlicues and fantastic ornamentation. Some of it does remind you of classical Greek, you'll be glad to hear, not corrupted late Greek heritage, but the true classical lines.
Or the modern Greeks.
Yeah, not the modern Greeks, or the Turks. No such... no such.
Is there a difference?
Well, good question. Did Byron die for nothing? A question you ask yourself, no doubt, almost daily, I should imagine. Oh, terrible, terrible. Look, we've got nothing against the Turkish people or the Greeks. We all know that, right? A lot of love there. A lot of love. Oh, Istanbul. 6 a.m. as the sun rises. But anyway, I won't bore you with my reminiscences. But you do, however, see that inside the room, you can see beds. And more than one. And you think you see the body of a sleeping child, and you are struck by the room inside appears to be untouched by the dream.
Well, standing there, I say aloud to myself, "Ooh. But if this is a dream, then whose dream is it? Is it this child's?" And I approach the window and sort of look in a bit closer. You say there are multiple beds in there?
So there are 3 beds. 3 single beds. One contains a boy with golden hair. Another, slightly larger bed, contains 2 girls. One with red hair, one with black hair. And then a boy with sort of brownish hair is in the other. He's the smallest of them. You said that you were walking towards it. Yeah. Could you give me a power check?
Yeah.
Do I mean power? I think so, yes.
That's a 63, but I can spend 3 points of luck if need be, if it's worth it.
No, 63 is good enough. You become aware of something about your own nature seems mutable. And as you think that, which seems to be a very strange thing to think, you become slightly aware of little silver lines you can feel tracing through the air, going through the window towards each of the children. There seems to be quite a strong, developing, almost spider's web-like quality to the light on it, thread to each of the children that seems to be hearkening back to the moon. You can't see it going all the way. Obviously, it's not like a lance line. It's just it sort of seems to reach up through the window towards the moon.
All of them?
All 4 of them. And then you begin to become aware of myriad other threads, some of which appear to be leaving from your body, going places too.
I hesitate. I'm about to knock on the window and I hesitate with this sensation and I say, but if I am their dream and they wake, will I cease to exist? Oh, too risky. I wonder if this is a dream and it's not my dream. And then I look up at the sky and I think about flying and see if I fly. Oh God! But I don't jump.
That's a relief.
Great. That is terrific. Would you like?
I have a scientific mind. I'm not going to jump off a roof.
Could you give me a power roll?
That's a 59 on a 60.
It's perfect. It couldn't be better. Your mind strains at the reality of things. There is no spoon. But you're just jumping up, right? You're not leaping off the roof.
I'm not even jumping. I'm just thinking about floating up.
Yeah.
And seeing if it happens.
You begin to feel yourself at first elongating, and then you realise that you are slightly lifting up from off of the roof.
Great Scott!
And a dreadful sense of panic starts to overwhelm you. And could you roll your lucid dreaming with a bonus die because you passed your power check?
24 or... Ha ha ha! 4!
No. Because you're only on 12, right? Something like that?
I'm on 19.
19 because you gained from...
So I can
this
make it an
journey.
extreme success if I spend a point of luck, if that's worth it. That's going to make it...
No, it was more to do with whether you could do... I mean, this is you've gone for something quite big, which I'm chuffed about. So you start to sweep up.
Real life.
You start to sweep up. You've gone 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, and you're up in the air. This is a thing you do not know how to do, but you have done it. And I don't mean as in like this is physically impossible. You realise there's a skill attached to this, and you feel
It's just falling and missing, right?
sure.
Yeah.
Just
Falling with style.
wasn't it straight onto a morning? First the right and straight onto a morning. But you get this kind of giddiness. But as you're doing that, you begin to see the strongest of all these silver white lines. It's almost like a tether, you suddenly realise. Goes down, back, geographically speaking, back towards the back of the house, through the room with the fire door, and it just goes back into the building. It's the only one that you could say is a proper line.
That's connected to me?
Yeah.
And do I have the presence of mind to...
You're a lucid dreamer, so yes.
So, am I able to deduce whether that line is going to where I think my body was left? Or is it going somewhere else?
That is exactly... You don't even need to roll for that. You're pretty sure your body is roughly directly underneath you. You might have drifted now a couple of feet away from it.
So,
At which point your mind is distracted by the appearance of something else. Even though it's sort of slightly behind you, your body has drifted round because you're not really fully in control. You're the Baron Harkonnen with a servo motor gone wrong, and the opposite physically. It's painfully thin, right? And you look sort of off to your left, and you see this weird creature leap into the centre of the room with the 4 children, and its back is turned to you, but it flings its arms back, and you see its face flips up off the front of its face. You can't see actually what its face now looks like, but you can see its face upside down on the top of its head, like a mask has just gone
Fuck off.
flipped back and up. And it was apparently at that point not aware, but the eyes start to focus on you, and its hands begin to sort of drop down.
the eyes in the mask that are now looking at me upside down.
Yeah. And you spotted it, and it spotted you. So
Does it look like Mickey Mouse, his mask?
It looks like a cartoon dog, cartoon bear, but more anthropomorphized.
Fuck this.
You'd seen it as well before, right? You'd seen it. Had you all seen
remember.
it? Had Moran seen it?
No.
I think Moran's the only one who hasn't seen it. Eisner's seen it.
I'm not sure that Baines had seen it, to be honest. I know
No, I
I'd
don't
seen it.
I don't think I did see it because I was busy.
Sorry,
I was busy looking at the doors. Yeah.
Oh, sanity roll, man. Sorry.
Now, on my sanity,
And apologies.
I don't know what happens. I know that they say if you dream about dying, you die in real life. But what happens if you go insane in a lucid dream?
Well, that's the
Christ.
danger of lucid dreaming, I suspect. It's all
Fucking Inception over it.
Abre los ojos.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Have I ever told you about my lucid dream?
No. Maybe let's wait for the break.
Oh, it's a story. I think it should actually form an epilogue to the final edit of this. Because it's very disturbing. It really raises questions about what's going on.
I mean, so far, the experiences that Baines are having resemble very much the last massive mushroom trip I went on, seeing lines of connectivity between everything. Very disturbing. Luckily, there was no upside-down mask-faced cartoon mouse fucking with me. I think that would have been the straw that broke the camel's back.
And I have failed my sanity roll by rolling a 72 on a 48.
Hey.
It is 1d4.
And I believe the most appropriate thing for losing a sanity roll would be to take out a small, which I probably do. I go into my pocket and take out a small whistle, a pitch whistle, and I blow on it very gently. And then I put it away, and then I go... because I lose 4 sanity points.
Oh!
Christ.
Now, you've also drifted 2 meters in doing that. I'm just going to find out which direction.
Fuck.
Okay, yeah, so you drift back downwards onto the edge of the roof, but because it's 2 meters, you're effectively coming off the top of that bit of roof, and you've just slipped off the top of the... You're only sinking down. You're not failing to fly, but mercifully, perhaps, it takes you away from the vision of this horrific thing that you saw with rubbery arms and rubbery legs, and they were all sort of hairy, but it was wearing trousers and had white serving gentleman's gloves on.
Oh gosh!
And you're now pretty convinced there's something else underneath its face that is its true face.
Of course it did.
What my aunts said about people from Portugal is absolutely true.
Which I think brings us back to Eisner.
Yeah.
Not because he's Portuguese, but his aunt would never have said something so dreadful, probably.
Wow.
So,
Well, his family probably wasn't on the Mayflower.
yeah, exactly. Eisner. I don't know what's more disturbing. The thought that you might have just killed a child on the other side of a door using a sawn-off shotgun, or the fact that the shot itself goes into the door in exactly the same way as the creature did, and appears to do absolutely no damage to the door, which is horrible. But it was cathartic, and I think it relieved you of the tension.
Yeah. Plus, I can help doing it. So.
And because of your earlier spot hidden, and your back is against the wall, I think now. You've got the stairs to your right going down, and you look back and you see that. There's the other door. In fact, actually, it might be the door behind you. The door to the other bedroom is behind you. Mm-hmm. And you look to the left to that open window, and you look to the door, and you're sort of looking, and you see a piece of paper just underneath the beautiful sofa.
I ain't dead.
Well, and also, I haven't lost my sanity yet. Well, how much sanity do I lose?
Oh, I think you only. I think you lost. It was only one sanity for the fact that the door allowed him to go through. It was only one sanity.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. It's horrible. It's horrible, and it's not your. But it's not like it's defying. Well, it is defying physics, but it's not defying.
I think. Well,
Gravity.
If the paper's
only one aspect.
If the paper's very close, what I want to do is snatch up the paper and stuff it in my pocket, but mainly I want to go over to Baines and see if he's fucking dead.
You could check him first, by all means. I just was saying, I should have told you that when you
that's my instinct. I think I run straight over to Baines, one eye on the door, making sure nothing comes out of it, this weird fucking trifle of a door. And I sort of kneel down next to Baines, make sure he doesn't have a weapon in his hand anymore, just in case. And then sort of, Baines, wake up, man. What's happened to you?
He doesn't have anything in his hands, but on the ground next to him is a lockpick.
I want to check if he's alive. That's priority.
He is
numero uno.
Deeply asleep, but appears to be unmarked and unwounded.
Okay.
And by shouting at him and sort of doing the classic
shaking him
come round, he doesn't appear to be coming around at all.
Okay. In which case, I put him in the recovery position, and I pick up the lockpick, and one eye still on this weird fucking door made out of toffees or whatever. I go and pick up scrap paper.
White milk jello.
Yeah. Blancmange of a door. And I pick up the piece of paper. I want to have a look at it.
It is written in a different hand.
A gloved hand. Shall I read out the letter I've just found?
Please do. The journal entry, I think.
So, I haven't been able to wake Baines. So I've snatched up the lockpick, and with an eye on the door, I snatch up this scrap and read it. It says, December 20th. Heading to Ann Norris for Christmas, of course. Can't wait to see Kitty, Nathaniel, and their little ones. Well, not so little now. Clarissa must be 12 this year. Thomas 11. Cousin Edward must be 12, too. Little Mary is 10 for sure. I wonder, is it too soon to show them? I was 13, but kids today are so wise, so fragile, though. But I'm sure there's safety in numbers. And if I stay with them, well, perhaps. Darling Von K will be there, of course, with all his really oh-so-charming eccentricities. I do so love his silly talk and flights of fancy. I could listen a dreamer's lifetime to him if I had it to spare, but alas, it is not so. There is so much to do there, and of course here, too. But Gunther is such a dear heart, and such a brave man, I discover. I hear from Aunt Nora that G once faced down a bear in the woods. There has always been something very dark and very strong in him. I see it more clearly there, of course, where our true natures glitter like jewels in deep-lit caverns, but I had not realized the depth of it before, the power of it. I must ask Gunther what haunts him so, to linger like a fury in him beneath his goodness, so brave and yet so held in that way that some old-hearted Europeans hold themselves, proud yet nonchalant, knowing yet passionate. Indeed, I do declare that when I truly think on it, Gunther von Kohl is like the uncle I never had. So kind, so nimble, so fierce, so clever, and such a good climber of mountains, and so good at listening to my prattle, my own leaping frights, be it here or there. I do so hope he can find someone to share these precious years with. I wonder if Aunt Nora might make a suggestion from her many friends, but I mustn't meddle. No doubt there are many things I do not understand about our dear German friend, or indeed Nora's little black book of wonders. Who doesn't she know? Besides, I have the business of the ships to attend to. And then there are the children. I wonder if...
And
coming.
I wonder if they're coming. At that stage, the page is ripped, and it has been ripped out of a journal. And you get the distinct impression, in the way in which it was slightly bent, it was sort of thrown and sort of fell.
Right. Also, I think one of the first things that strikes me is, obviously, when they're referring to there and here, they're capitalised.
Yes.
Which makes me think they're definitely specific places rather than a generalised thing, in an odd way.
Which, by the way, came through beautifully in the reading, I thought. Came through beautifully.
Well, I was hoping it did, but I thought I'd just reiterate in case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
And Nora, of course, we know who Nora is. Nora Belvedere. Aunt Nora in this, but we don't know who's written this. Nora's little black book of wonders, who doesn't she know? I mean, we know she's influential. Obviously, the chief is desperate to keep her on side. That's why we're here in the first place.
Could you give me an idea roll?
Yeah. Also, the German connection, for me, thinking about my father and everything, is quite prescient in my mind. I'm sort of... That's sort of shaking me slightly.
Oh, they're here!
Oh, Christ. What was it?
In terms
27. Where's my... a hard success, then.
So, Gunther von Kohl, I think the first thing that Eisner does is he recognises that's a German name. It's an aristocratic German name. And although you haven't read the letter downstairs that Moran has, I think with that success, such a good success, I think you get quite an astute observation. Probably only you could make it out of the group. Although, maybe Baines with his aunt's insights to European behaviours, he might have a few things to say. But I think you really get this kind of picture of a Prussian old-school guy who's fallen in love with this young woman, and she's denying it. I think it all just falls into place for you, and you get this real picture of a lover spurned, And it's that German quality of restraint
Yeah.
that gives it all away. Also, was that an excellent idea roll?
It was close to, but not excellent.
You spent some time in and around, and you were married once. This is a woman's handwriting.
Yeah.
It's artfully done. She's very well educated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, could you give me a power check?
Oh, yeah. I suppose it's about time, isn't it?
While I'm still here.
That's a 71. What's my power? Almost certainly not that good. 51. 71 and a 51.
Yeah. So there's, you tingle slightly. You tingle.
Yeah.
In the presence of, perhaps it was the fire below, perhaps it was the weirdness of this milky white door. Also, I'll tell you what you do is you look back at the door that you leant on, and you realise you leant on it, trusting it as a total reality. And then you look at it and go, but hang on a second, it looks just like the other one.
Oh, shit.
And you think, but I leant on it.
Yeah.
But also that does remind you, your gun is now empty. I'll leave that with you.
Yeah.
Perhaps you're reloading.
Yeah, I think I certainly am, yeah.
So while you're reloading, I will head down.
Reloading and try not to think about the arguments with my dad.
Yeah.
Who was always German first.
Oh, yeah, nasty. Whilst reloading a gun, I'll try not to think about the arguments with my father.
Yeah.
Surely goes for every cop from Kingsport to Arkham.
Yeah, I understand so.
If it wasn't my pa, it was my ma.
I always think of Ma.
Yeah.
So
You hear
I always think of Mother when she calls up to bring me another glass of milk.
you can hear voices, Moran, but what's
my reaction?
Yeah.
I've had some time to consider
Yeah,
it.
you really have. Sorry, that's
No, that's quite
Bit of a
right.
pimp.
It's useful. So I think weirdly, what overcomes me in this moment is this laser focus. Usually, my police work is very much get the job done, whatever it takes. The law is what you make it. But in this moment, this focus overcomes me, and I see the array of peculiar characters clustered around this woodland scene, and I pull out my badge and I say, my name is Detective Inspector Eamon Moran, and yous are all under arrest on suspicion of breaking and entering, out-of-season trapping and animal trafficking, and holding a picnic without a permit, which is contravening Kingsport food and beverage laws. And you will come with me this instant or feel the full force of the law.
Amazing.
The two bears closest to you scatter in fear off towards the roots, and you don't like to look at what happens because they seem to be going further than the bounds of the room. So you don't really focus on them too much. There's a rabbit who's dressed up in a sort of quite a sexy flapper's dress.
Oh, God.
And she's a bit taller than a rabbit. Maybe she's a hare, actually. She's a hare. And she turns to you and hops onto the table and says, "Oh no! Oh no! What a terrible thing to happen! Arrest! Arrest!" And leaps across the table. And there's all these beautiful kind of gold dishes and chalices and cutlets. Right?
Rhyming.
Cutlets. There's cutlets. There's veal. Cups and
Goblets, cups and goblets.
Thank you. And and so you can feel these kind of you get
Goblets and cutlets.
at the far end, and this doesn't quite make sense to you in terms of the geography of the room. This room should only be about 12 feet across. No, more than that, 18 feet wide. But this table appears to be 36 feet in itself. It's like a feast in a forest hall, surrounded by library books, shelves covered in vines and roots, and you increasingly get the sense of shadowing vast trees. But at the other the other end, you get the sense of a large figure turning in a great furred cape, at least level 20, This guy. At least level 20, like, probably way beyond.
A fur cape. Oh god, it's not.
That's just the cape's level 20. I mean,
not fucking Savapipu, is it?
God.
So as you say, I don't want to look. Is it all right to stay with me for a minute?
yeah, very much so. I was actually going to introduce you to someone there.
Oh,
But go on.
well, I was going to say I don't want to look to the sides of the room, as you say. So I try to focus on the animals that are still at the table. And see if I can grab anyone who's running away. Do I have a whistle? A police whistle?
Yes, of course you do. All three of you have police whistles.
I stick my police whistle in my mouth and start blowing. And see if I can grab hold of anyone running away and do a few flails of the cosh of the shillelagh. But not the rather attractive hair standing on the table.
Well, she's run. She's scarpered. She was really quick. There is a sheep, or like a ram, with horns, a big old black ram, who's wearing an apron and sort of. There's
So if that's if the ram is the nearest animal, I try to grab hold of the ram and cosh him with the shillelagh.
And you hear a voice going, no, we don't want no trouble. It's easy. And a whip-smart paw lands on your wrist. Strong, but has a sort of slightly febrile nature, the speed with which this animal is thinking. I think probably because of your commitment. Let's say you get a blow-in, so it's the second one. So the ram's like that.
Yeah.
You get that satisfactory sense of striking him around the head. Partly on the horns, partly in the thickness of... by the way, the ram is wearing lederhosen.
Why not?
And a white apron. And spills drinks and looks at you. Is horrified, clearly.
Rammstein.
Yeah, Rammstein. And you get this...
Very good.
Dressed in what can only be described as a sort of Victorian gentleman's outfit. A fox steps before you, teetering on two feet. And holds your hand and says, No, we don't want any more trouble. If you just talk to his lordship, I'm sure everything will be worked out.
Christ. I mean, I sort of feel like I'm due another sanity roll, but...
Yeah, well,
since
you said it, why don't you give me another one, just quickly?
I think, yeah.
As they talk, and they appear to be making...
Well, it's because I got... One spoke to me right at the beginning, but it's the fact that... I think it's the fact that they are... at once, they are animals and people. I think the first one that spoke, and it was like... Maybe it didn't really speak and I was confused, or maybe it wasn't really an animal, it was someone dressed as an animal. But now it's become very clear. And I failed my sanity roll by 1 point.
How unlucky.
Yep.
Yeah, I think again, it's only one. You only lose one sanity. But there is an erosive sense to your grip on things.
Yeah.
I think you probably you step away, but is there something else that you do in relation to your developing mania for control and violence that I'm sensing?
Trying to avoid the tendency towards violence, believe it or not.
I think this is anthropomorphically horrifying. It's horrifying.
Yeah. I think the whistle drops from my mouth at the fox speaking to me, and I say, His Lordship, this is Kingsport. We don't deal in aristocracy round here.
You hear a voice say, "Clive, let the man go."
Clive.
And the fox sort of drops down onto all fours and goes and runs away like a fox. It shows its teeth and it runs away. But you do hear him say, "Don't say I didn't warn you."
Chaos reigns.
And other than a few beautiful birds that are tweeting around on the shelves, you begin to realise that it's just you and the vast 10-foot demi-giant that is now approaching, apparently with the shortening of the table. He isn't actually walking towards you. The table is getting smaller and fitting the reality of the library room better, and he is the person standing at the end of it. He has a vast gut and a wide belt with tools of strange make and design hanging off it, and enormous hands. His beard is fanned and green. His hair is green with white streaks, and his face is... it gives you the impression of benign and jovial as its normal aspect, but stern looking at you. He carries a massive sword at his belt, and he is glaring at you and says, "What is your name?"
Yeah, right. I'm Detective Inspector Eamon Moran of the Kingsport Police Department. And I ask you to surrender your sword and come with me. You're under arrest. Under suspicion of breaking and entering, holding a picnic without a permit.
"I am the lord of this forest. I am Barabbacus, keeper of the feast. You do not belong here. Unless you wish to join us. Will you?" And he stretches out his hand over the table, and it has nails made of stone and moss, and you can see worms kind of crawling in the palm of his hand.
Oh my God.
And the books appear to be very alive now.
Well, I pull out my 38 and I say... and I say, "We can do this the easy way or the hard way."
I'm very quickly going to tell this story because it's short.
Oh, yes, about lucid dreaming.
When I was at university, I was trying to lucid dream, my housemate and I, trying to lucid dream, doing all the techniques. And he was having great success. I was getting nowhere. I went home for the holidays, and for some reason I was staying in my brother's room. My room was being, I don't know, decorated. I was in my brother's bed, and he was sleeping somewhere else. I don't know why. And in my dream, I was in Manchester, but it was a Lowry painting. It was just like low sunset, long shadows, these red brick buildings like the factories in a Lowry painting.
Yeah.
Crisscrossing tram lines everywhere. And I was walking all the way to this building where I knew I was staying in this hostel. And I was carrying 2 plastic bags, each with a bucket of KFC in. And I could smell the KFC, and I was really looking forward to eating it. And people were walking home from work, and they were all these like, sort of stick men in like old business suits with bowler hats, no faces. They're all just walking around, tick, 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 going home from work. And I remember thinking, oh, I can't wait to get in and eat this KFC. And then I thought, I'm going to be so disappointed if this is a dream and I don't get to eat this chicken. And in that moment, I just walked through the door into this room with no windows. It was just bare brick inside. It was like a hollow, like a set. And I put the chicken down and it is a dream. Oh, fuck, this is a dream. And then the realisation, oh my God, this is a dream. And I can do anything I want. And so I looked at this brick wall and I just put my hands up like this and did that. And the bricks all went... and I could see back into the street with all these stick people walking in this long dusk. And, you know, I remember the training. You've got to stay calm. You've got to stay calm to stay in it. Don't do anything radical. And the first thing I did was see if I could fireball someone. And I did. I shot a fireball from my hands like a wizard. And this fireball travelled across the street and hit
magic missile.
Yeah, a magic missile.
Melf.
And it engulfed this stick man. And he went up, Wah! Screaming, Wah! And he died. And everyone on the street, hundreds of these like businessmen, just stopped and then turned and looked at me with their blank,
oh,
featureless
fuck my
faces.
life. That is horrible.
and then they started sprinting towards me. And so I started fireball, 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 fireball. And then, of course, I immediately woke up.
Yeah.
And I woke up to my brother shaking me. He was standing over me, shaking me, going, Dom, Dom. And I woke up, I was on the floor. I'd fallen out the bed and I was tangled in the duvet. And I said, what's going on? And he said, I came upstairs because I heard you laughing like a madman. And apparently he found me on the floor just going...
It's a shame there's no evidence in the record for Dom being evil, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
If you were looking for an example, it's a shame he never gives us any.
That would be it.
I mean, it raised so many questions. Like, why were they trying to stop me? Who were they? What part of my brain was like, we've got to stop this? It's so strange.
Were they? Maybe they were
Assuming
just
it was part of my brain.
Yeah, maybe they were just defending themselves.
Yeah.
I think they were innocent passers-by.
You killed one of them. I mean,
Yeah.
one of my views of this is that you invaded their innocent dreamland like a magical...
But what's disturbing is
I disagree. I think
they didn't
the fact
scatter
they
and
all-
flee.
No,
It was
exactly.
that they all defended themselves. They all unified, ran at me.
Hive mentality. They all turned and sprinted. I think that's not an action of self-defense. That's like this one's awake. Get it.
That's what it felt like in your description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That if,
Yeah.
I think the fact that you arrived in the land of the matchstick men and you used fire.
Yeah.
It was so, and what's
Utter
amazing
blasphemy.
is, I'd seen a Lowry painting once or twice years ago, but it was for years after that I was describing it to someone and they said, oh, like a Lowry painting. And I was like, that's why I knew it was Manchester. Isn't that mad?
The unconscious
Yeah.
mind.
That connection? It took me years to realise that was the connection, that it was a Lowry painting I'd seen.
Fucking hell.
Anyway, I'd still wonder what would have happened if one of them had got to me.
Yeah. If you
But I was
die
too
in the
quick with the
dream.
fireballs.
Sanity roll.
Fantastic.
And back to D&D.
Yeah.
Yes.